Welcome back. Now, This Generation Leads, the latest leadership ideas from South Africa, is a debut publication by the University of Johannesburg. The book has been released under the imprint Hoopoe Press, and it features chapters from various young people who expressed their take on dissecting the concept of leadership. Well, for more on this book, we're joined in studio by its mentor, Mike Teke, as well as with him is one of the authors, Sthabile Zwane. Ladies and gentlemen, good morning. Welcome to Morning Live.
Good morning.
Mike, I'm going to start with you. Let's start with you telling us a bit more about the book. Why was there need for it right now?
Well, I've spent time with young people, as in mentoring them, and some of them would request that I mentor them, and some are those that I identify myself as I encounter and meet people in business and offer to mentor them. And in my mentoring process, I realized that there are several subjects that relate to leadership, personal development and growth. And I then decided that the discipline of making something happen is to write it down, probably. And we had that in chapters, and it culminated into what you see today as a book of 16 chapters, each one authored by the very people who I mentor. And all of them come up with different ideas. As you can see, it's not one subject, but it's different subjects in one book, but it centers around leadership.
Sthabile, I want to bring you into the conversation. Your section is titled Project Porcupine, My Greatest Inspiration. Unpack that for us.
So when Mike shares his insights with me, he often talks about the need to spread like a porcupine, when it spreads its thorns. And each one of us as mentees are one thorn, and he's the porcupine. Right. And what that does for me is, well, Sthabile, what are you going to do to be a porcupine? And then I go into what my inspiration is to get that done.
What did that teach you about yourself? This is a chapter in your life, obviously, that you are in now. What did that teach you?
It taught me that I can stretch myself.
Yeah.
It taught me that I can be trusted with big and important things. And it taught me that there's humanity on one hand and there's business on the other, but those two meet. And as you go through the book and you read each chapter, which is also designed that you can read a chapter and leave it, or decide that you're going to continue, as you read those chapters, you'll see each stick or porcupine part.
Yeah.
And that's what that did for me.
Mike, talk to us about the different contributions. We've just spoken about Sthabile's contribution, the different ones. I can only imagine as you're seeing these different contributions and the different ways that they see leadership.
Well, the first important thing is all these people are different. You mentor people who want to be entrepreneurs. You mentor people who want to be corporate leaders. They're not interested in being entrepreneurs. You mentor people who want to be great parents, and they are young. And being a parent, I share those ideas. And again, I don't meet them all the time. They come at different times. There are those who are diligent, there are those who are not. There are sections in this book where you talk about ethical leadership. Ethical leadership is important for our business. But I listen to these young people sharing it, and I say, put it on paper, let's explain it to everybody.
Yeah.
Politics and leadership. You're talking about things that relate to management and leadership. What's the difference between the two? Each one of those 16 chapters carries with it a message that relates to a specific subject that's affecting humanity, that's affecting us as South Africans. And hence I felt that if it's 16 books, it's going to be different and difficult for these young people to be inspired to write long chapters. Why don't we put all these chapters into one book? You get one book, it's one basket, but different subjects that will help you to be a better leader. I'll give you an example where there's a chapter that talks about God and leadership. It's not something that a lot of people think about.
Yes.
But when you talk about leadership, you'll realize that somebody talks about organizations that are well led. Who leads those organizations? So each one of these 16 chapters, I can't go through all of them, but reality of the matter is that it's a broad range of subjects. And those subjects matter today in our lives.
How did you decide which subjects? There's so much. I can only imagine now, and I'll ask you this question after this, about putting it into one book. making it concise so that it's good. But how do you then decide on which subjects? God, and leadership is one thing. There's so much as well.
Well, the interesting thing is we used to meet on a Saturday morning with the whole team, and we stopped because of COVID at the time. And as I say, I still meet the team individually as and when they are available. They are busy people as well. What happened is that as I have conversations with each one of them, there's one person who's so much interested in philanthropy and leadership. And I said, why don't you grab that subject, make sure that it makes sense to an ordinary person out there what you mean by it. Somebody spoke to me about, do you know about the politics in leadership? In other words, people who jostle for power and all that. And I said, that's a good subject. Somebody says to me, what's the difference between leadership and management and being a CEO? By the way, there are people who are CEOs today in big organizations who I spend time with, who ask me humbly and say, please, can you help me, can you mentor me? And in my own small way, I don't have that much experience, but at least I've been a CEO for a long time, and I've listed companies, and I've operated as a chairperson of big institutions. I share those ideas, and when I realize that there's a topic here, there's a story to be told, I'll say, just put it on paper. We'll put it as and make it a subject. And for me, the whole concept of one starfish at a time comes into picture.
Yeah. Sthabile, how easy or how difficult was it for you to put it all in one chapter? I can only imagine it would be like writing and the juices are flowing, but you know, then you have to remember, no man, this has to be a chapter. I don't have the whole book to write.
First, it's difficult to start.
Yeah.
Because you think about, okay, this is the agreement that we had that I'm writing about. And then you need to find the core, the very core of that topic. And once you start, it just starts pouring out of you. And then it's difficult to be concise.
Yes.
The guidance that we all ran with was write as much as you like. So if you want to write 16 pages, you can. If you want to write 4, you can. And then we'll moderate it and edit it accordingly. You share your experience and you share it authentically, and you can only hope that it's received by the public that you're trying to pour yourself into.
Yeah.
And just that pure inspiration for writing that chapter will then almost guide you how far you want to take it, because you are sharing a very personal part of yourself in many instances. And you know, nobody was told, okay, you stop there.
Yeah.
You just find, okay, this is as far as I'm comfortable sharing.
What lessons came with this chapter of your life, of your mentorship, of mentoring young entrepreneurs and leadership? What did it teach you personally? Well,
it has taught me that, one, the country that we live in, or the world we live in, humanity needs young people to take it to the next level. In other words, we cannot ignore young people who are coming up, the next generation. The second one is, I have gone through a journey myself throughout my career, and I felt that the biggest lesson is to start sharing my lessons with the young people. And the last big thing is that we cannot climb the ladder and then take the ladder with us.
Yeah.
Other people must climb the ladder. So when I'm at the top there, I must hold the ladder for others to climb as well. So those are the lessons for me that I've learned, and I'll continue doing it.
All right, that's so interesting. Ladies, gentlemen, thank you so much for talking to us. Mike and Sthabile, thank you so much for talking to us. They've been unpacking the new leadership book. It's titled This Generation Leads. In fact, it says This Generation Leads, the latest leadership ideas from South Africa.